Hey everyone, as promised, this is going to be the German P.08 Luger disassembly video. And I'm also going to show you how the striker mechanism works in this pistol because as you've seen in the other video, it's a striker fired pistol and not a hammer strike pistol. So without further ado, before we get started, you're going to need a tool. You're going to need just a smaller, it doesn't have to be super big, just a flathead screwdriver, a common screwdriver. Set that aside for now. Now, the first thing you're going to do, and yes, I have to go through this part, clear your weapon, drop the magazine, ensure that the chamber is clear, ensure that the mag wall is clear, even though you just dropped the mag. So this pistol's now clear. We're good to go. That's for all you safety freaks and idiots out there. The rest of you, well, hope you enjoyed watching the toggle work. So anyway, this pistol's actually not that hard to take apart and put back together. So I'm just going to field strip it today. Obviously not going to do a detail strip because I don't want to do that. And I looked at how to do it and it just looks like a big pain in the ass. So we're just going to stick with the field strip. So what you do is, like you saw in the other video, this slides back a bit. So you kind of take it like a Glock, right? Pull this back and this little lever right here will rotate into the down position, right? And now your side plate will come off. This is actually one of the main parts of the firing mechanism. So we'll get into that later. So now your entire slide will come off, just like that. Bam. Really easy. Set the frame aside. So what I do is, I'm sure somebody's going to have a problem with this, but I don't. There's a pin right here in the back of the slide. You can see that. That actually needs to come out. And it comes out pushing from right to left. It only comes out one way. So we're going to go ahead and do that because I don't have fingernails. Now you can set the side plate over there. Pop this pin out, and then you'll see that the toggle and everything popped up like that. There's not a lot of tension. It shouldn't fly off. If it does, there's something wrong with your handgun. So now you're going to lift up a little bit, working against a little bit of a spring. So expect a little bit of resistance, not that much, just a little bit, and then watch that slide right out of the upper receiver or the slide itself or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what to call it on this thing. Let's call it the upper receiver, and then you can go ahead and set that aside because we're done with that. Now we'll take out the firing pin, which is actually a pretty common problem on these, having broken firing pins. But yeah, you can get replacements and such. But I don't want to because this one's numbered matching. Anyway, this is where your screwdriver comes in, right? And you see that little screw right there? That's the plunger that goes behind your firing pin. For the tension, you're going to push in, kind of like on a Mauser C96 if you've ever taken one of those apart. Push in and rotate a quarter turn counterclockwise. And this thing will pop out with the spring. Again, not a lot of tension on there, just enough to set off a small cartridge. And then your firing pin will just pop out. So that's what a Luger firing pin looks like, everybody. That's actually the sear right there. And you'd think that it'd be located on the top. I'm sorry, on the top. I think it'd be located on the bottom, right? Like on most guns, but it's actually not. So this is where we're going to start explaining the reassembly and how exactly this weapon fires. So you're going to start by putting the firing pin back in to the bolt right here. It slides in just like we took it out. And then you're going to take this plunger. Now watch this. So right now we can't put this back in because a little detent on the edge of this thing, right? The little thing that holds it in. Because the firing pin is up because of the toggle, right? Now you see when I go down like that, the firing pin moves down. So you're going to want to kind of do that when you're reassembling this. And then the detent is facing this groove right here, and it'll go into another groove when you rotate it clockwise. So we will go in and rotate clockwise, and you can see that that went right in. Maybe you couldn't because there were so many shadows. So again, you see the little groove goes in there, and bam, holds that right in place. Now what's really cool is this is right side up at the moment, right? You can see the logo and everything right there. And you can see that this right here is actually what sets the pistol off. Now it's pulled back. Now it goes forward, and you can see the firing pin protruding from the bolt face. So that's how this thing actually fires, right? And it's just like any other striker fire, but this sear is on the side. And you're trying to figure out, well, what the hell? How does that work? Well, I'm about to show you. So we're going to slide this back in. to the frame. It's on like a little track thing. You should feel it. It takes some finagling, but the receiver, again, I don't know what the hell this is called because it's not a slide. And then it's going to go to about right there, or on mine at least, and you're just going to want to kind of push past that. It's not a lot of tension. You just push past that, make sure everything's locked into place, and then take your pin and put that in. Again, it only comes in, or goes in and comes out one way, so there's no way to really screw that one up. So now you're thinking, okay, well, what's going on with the firing mechanism? Well, in there, I don't think I showed you that. God, I should have probably done that. Let me pop this out for you really quick, and I want to show you something. All right, so, oh God, this isn't going to work. There we go. Hopefully you can see that a little bit. Right there is actually a vital piece that will catch on the sear, on the bolt, and will allow this to go forward. So how does it get set off? Sorry we had to backtrack a little bit, but it's really not that hard putting this back together. So yeah, you see inside that obviously there's a mechanism working on in here, on this little assembly, which I don't know the correct name of. So it's kind of weird. So we're going to put the slide back on, or whatever this is, the upper receiver assembly, back onto the frame. Now you see this little thing dangling right there, right? That's supposed to go in that groove in the back of the frame. So what I have to do is I have to just tilt this upward, right? And then there's a little groove where you can see like any other semi-automatic. It fits into, there we go, the frame. Now make sure you've got it inverted so that thing stays back. And then when it's at where it needs to be, you just drop it in there. And then you can pull the slide all the way back. You'll hear a click. And now this is where we're going to put our side plate back on. But hey, first I'm going to show you how this thing works, right? So you see the trigger itself is not connected to anything. It's just on a little spring, right? And it's just got a pin holding it there. It'll actually pop out to the side. If I start working it, you can see it popping out. So it's literally just held in there by a little spring. Now, when you put this, the side plate on, this moves, right? This little piece of metal. So when you pull this, because it, Jesus, come on. Work with me here, buddy. All right, so when you pull the trigger, right, that little thing right here catches that thing. Try to illustrate this. And pulls it. Oh, no. The trigger came out. It's okay. We'll get it figured out. There, that easy. All right, it catches on this thing right here. Right, so it's up like that, and then when you pull the trigger down, so that pushes this little thing in here to this side, which is just like a spring, because this whole thing right here comes back. So you can see as you push that, get a better angle on it, it'll fire the pistol because it just pulls this part up, and then that releases the sear. Pretty ingenious design. All right, so now it's cocked again. I'm pretty sure, or no. Okay, now it's cocked again. So again, when you pull the trigger, it pulls this little thing down on the side plate, right? Which pushes in on that little button right there and pulls this part back with the other sear on it, right? And then the firing pin just has nowhere to go but forward because of the spring tension. So that's why the safety, all it is just a little piece of metal, right? Just a little piece of metal like that, because it prevents that leaf spring kind of thing from going out, right? It also prevents the slide from being worked, or the toggle from being worked, which is kind of interesting. But that's all it does. It has to prevent the sear from moving outwards. So it's literally just a little piece of metal, which is cool. That's what I wanted to explain. Hopefully you understand that. If I didn't explain it well enough, you can give me hell. But I think that's a pretty accurate way to explain how the trigger firing mechanism works on this. It's just really cool for whoever thought of that design. It's, at the beginning, it's just insane. All right, so now the side plate goes on. Obviously, you're going to put that piece of metal in the trigger slot, right? And then there's a little leaf right there. You slide underneath the frame. You pull this slide, or the upper receiver, whatever the hell it is, all the way back, and then you rotate that lever, and you're good to go. You got a reassembled German P.08 pistol. Hands are slippery. That is a gripe I have about this thing, is like the toggle is kind of a pain in the dick to work. And yes, I am used to it, and yes, it's not really that hard. It's just kind of gets your fingers sore when you get little girly fingers like me. It's not locking back for whatever reason, but you get the idea. So do a functions check really quick. Obviously it's clear. Okay. All right, good to go. So that's how you disassemble and reassemble that, and kind of show you how the firing pin mechanism works, or the striker mechanism works. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and like and subscribe, and become a supporter on Patreon for exclusive access to videos that sometimes aren't even shown on YouTube, and other content like giveaways, live streams, etc., etc. So do your duty, become a patron on Patreon. But most of all, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.